Sound check.
Sound check.
All right. Not muted.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. So
George,
we start.
let us know if
We
you can hear us
start
now.
all over again.
All right. Perfect. Great. We are very happy that it all sorted out because we were talking a lot about
Yeah. So
things
guys,
to
we
ourselves.
already spoke a lot about the subject. Thank you very much, and we'll see you. We'll see you next month. All right.
All right. Good. That's
Hello.
why we try to connect earlier too.
Yeah.
To make sure the sound is good.
All right. So let's chat just a little bit more before we start. And thank you for your feedback in terms of our mics. That really helps.
So, hello everybody again.
Yeah.
Let's start over again.
Welcome to our 10th YouTube Live. The subject is how much is too much and what is enough in international standards. I'm sure for all the dancers, those qualities and this subject is really important. We hope we can touch all the main points today. Of course, we cannot put a lifetime of experience in just 45 minutes or 1 hour, but I'm sure.
Try.
Yeah, we will try, and I think it will be very interesting today.
Yes, this is definitely a subject that we were thinking a lot about, and throughout our careers, we've heard a lot of
corrections,
sayings and corrections. Let's put it in this way on that matter. And I am sure you guys throughout your dance experiences and careers have heard a lot as well. Such phrases as, "Oh, this was too much," or "This was not enough. This was too little." Let us know in the comments if you've ever heard such things from your teachers or from your partners, and we will take it from there and we will try to let you know what we think about it and how to actually measure what is too much or too little in our ballroom dancing. So let us know in the comments if you ever heard from anybody, "This is too much" or "This is too little."
Yeah. So who heard those words? Can you comment a plus if you heard too much, too little during your dance lessons or maybe from your dance partner?
I have never heard I did too much, Emily says. How about too little, Emily?
Just not enough, yeah. Okay. I can very much relate to it, actually.
This is interesting. I will let you know from my personal experience. I'm a hyper in my personality, and I've heard many times, "Oh, this is too much. Let's do a little bit less." And just wondering if you guys have heard anything like that.
Too little, okay.
Too little all the time. Do more. All right, okay.
So we are on the same frequency. I am on the same frequency with you guys. Lilia is a little bit different.
So you have heard as well, like you have
breed.
To do more, right?
Me?
Than you're doing.
Of course. I used to hear it a lot, and then until I realized something, I will share with you what. Yeah, and then right now I don't really hear anything, but also because I don't take much lessons. Maybe that's
you
that's
take
why.
less lessons than before.
I take
overall,
less lessons than before.
Towards the professional.
So maybe
career.
one of the solution is to take less lessons.
Actually, when we were kids, I think we've heard that very often. "Oh, you have to do more, do more, do more." So when you just start learning how to dance, it is a very, very popular correction that you hear from your teachers and also from your parents, I must say, because parents are our biggest critiques when we just start to dance when we're kids.
And very frustrating correction as well, because of course, you dance and you feel like, "Oh my God, this is great, performance of my life. Everything is great." And then somebody tells you, "Well, that's totally not enough. You have to do like 5 times more." And this is very frustrating, right? Can you guys share with us in comments where are you joining us from? Which states or maybe which cities?
Always too little and not enough.
Rotation. Yes,
There
Natasha.
you go.
Well done.
We are going to touch a little bit on that subject as well, specifically on rotation today. So that's really good.
Mm-hmm. Emily, thank you for your feedback. Okay, Boston. Unfortunately, we don't know from the nickname the name of the person. It says just NH, but we appreciate you joining us today.
Yeah, it's a little bit later in Boston. Here in Pasadena, California, we still have some daylight outside. We were also experimenting a little bit with the time of our live, because we usually go Sunday morning. We go live usually on Sundays morning. And this is our first time that we do it in the evening. We are
but honestly,
very happy
guys,
to see you.
We are very busy at this moment in time with different things, with work. And it's very challenging to find time. So we hope this time also works as well as Sunday morning. And if not Sunday morning, then we can definitely do during the week in the evening, like Wednesday evening, like today. So that's a good time for us.
We're trying to be consistent and do the live once every month.
After this live, if you can actually hit the like button, that really helps. And if you can share it, if you think it was helpful, we would really appreciate that too.
Yes, and don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yeah, but
I cannot believe I said that.
We really don't think about ourselves as some kind of bloggers, and we are doing it entirely for educational purposes. I think at some point we will improve a few things in the picture. William Musk. This is Karen. All right.
Connecticut, San Francisco, Orange County. All right.
Florida, as we know, Natasha from Florida, George, Dow, and Vicky, they're from Florida too.
All right, that's
great. So we have quite a geography. Yeah, so awesome. We are not bloggers here, just entirely educational purposes. But as we're doing it more and we have more likes and everything like that, we will definitely improve the picture and other things we already have planned. So as you can see, we dressed up in Ukrainian national colors because war in Ukraine is still not over. And a lot of our friends are really suffering right now, some of our family members too. So we hope you can at least support Ukrainian people, mental support, maybe with a prayer or just with a good thought, because they need it and we really need it as well. And we condemn all sorts of violence that is happening in Ukraine right now, but it's really tragic and upsetting situation for all of us. Last year at this time, we were organizing a dance competition, Kyiv Pro-M Dance Festival, that went really well. We have a lot of great memories from it, and people were really happy how everything went. Unfortunately, this year, due to war, we cannot organize it, but we all hope and pray that we can return back next year, I think June 13. We even have a date for next year, believe it or not. And we will be more than happy to see everybody there next year.
That's true.
Okay, I just bought practice skirt that was made in Ukraine. Thank you, Emily. That really helps.
Big, in support to Ukrainian businesses and Ukrainian families.
All right, guys. So let's start our lecture one more time. How much is too much and what is enough in international standards? We know that you heard a lot of those sorts of comments as well as us.
Yes.
Right? Now, it all comes to a formula that we would like to present to you. And so anytime you hear those words, too much, too little, if you can build this chain formula, this sequence of, action
and thoughts,
action, reaction kind of in your mind, we think it will be very helpful for you to really unfold the problem and find the solution, right? So first of all, when you hear it, you have to be searching for reference points. Because just to say too much, not enough, we need to have reference point. If somebody tells me, I don't know, let's say you're overweight or you're too skinny, then I'm thinking, so what is the model? What is the
ultimate size?
Yeah, what is the ultimate size or weight or whatever shape you want me to be in? And then if I understand that size, that measure, then I can probably agree with the commentator or disagree, right? So if we agree on the measure, then it's easy for us to understand, yes, probably that's too much. I don't know, 3 more pounds than the model, or that's too little, under 10 pounds. Yeah, so same supposed to be in ballroom dancing, and that's why we're learning ballroom dance technique. So reference point.
Reference points, and we have to agree on those reference points with either our teacher or our partner, whoever we are discussing it with.
Whoever is more important.
Whoever has more knowledge, let's say, right? So we're going to really make sure we talk about the same thing. So we have the same reference point and we're talking about the same exact thing into.
So reference point, number one thought. Number two thought, we are using Prism method. So which layer of Prism method can we relate with those reference points?
Let's
because it
quickly
can be
remind the layers.
Okay, you can remind
Yeah,
the
we
layers.
have the first layer, which is syllabus. Then we have posture. We have our mechanics, our dynamics, our musicality, performance, and personalization.
Yeah. So
Is
those
it
are
everything?
Yeah, I think so. Every time actually I need to say those
It is very
layers.
stressful.
Yeah, I start being
Although
stressed.
we came up with them, but it is always stressful.
Yeah.
So layer which we're talking about.
Is it too much on posture layer and perhaps the elbow is not where it's supposed to be? This is one thing to correct. Is it too much of, are you too fast? Maybe that's too much of the speed. So this is definitely not about posture anymore. This is about your timing. Maybe you can check the syllabus layer. Don't think about it as everything in one, like a salad. Oh, too much. So now everything should be less. Tone less, movement less, speed less. Then maybe you can take away the good things that you have been doing. So the clarity and understanding which layer you are working on or you're making mistake in is very important.
Yeah, because we can have a reference point which will be more or less the same, but it can go throughout different layers. For example, as Yaroslav has mentioned, the elbow, it could relate to posture, or it could also relate to mechanics. So we have to make sure that we're talking about the same, let's say, body part, or the same reference point can be either in our body or in the room or in time. And we have to also relate that reference point to the layer that we're talking about.
And we need to understand each other, whether it's a partner or teacher or, again, whoever is more important.
Yeah, we're talking about common keywords. We have to have common keywords when we talk about things. We have to name the things the way they are and make sure we put the same meaning. So when I say something, I have to make sure that Yaroslav has put the same meaning into that same keyword. This is really important. You will be surprised how many times partners pronounce the same words,
but disagree.
They mean completely different things.
Meaning,
yes. Yeah. We were very lucky to have a lot of time, like probably many people during the lockdowns, during the quarantine time, to discuss many things in our own dancing and our teaching. And luckily, we found out that we do put very similar or the same meaning in almost everything that we do when we dance and when we teach. But you'll be surprised how many times people do actually put a different meaning into it.
Yes. And the third part of that formula, we will right now, again, go back and repeat it for you. So the third part of that formula is if you have reference points, you understand which layer. Now, what is the rule and what is the ultimate solution? How do we fix it? So those are also the set of rules. I think Lilia has already touched this subject in the sense that we have to put the same meaning into it. We also have to agree on rules. Because if I think we turn from the head and Lilia says, no, we turn from the foot, I think that's a big problem about to happen. Yeah. Same can be teacher-student relationship, right? Or I don't know, probably a parent and a kid relationship in terms of, commenting on the dancing.
Any kind of dance conversation
of the
here,
individual. Yeah. Judges, if judges disagree on the
standard,
which model is unfortunately the harsh reality right now, then there is another problem. Yeah, then of course the solution is to have more judges and to kind of level the opinion. And many competitions in the United States actually use it as a solution, and I think use it quite successfully. So the formula that we would like you to remember would be reference point, which layer are we talking about of Prism method, and what is the rule to fix it. If you can follow, again, reference point, layer, and rule to fix it, if you can follow that, then I think there is a huge chance that we will get out of trouble of too much, too little, not enough situation.
Exactly.
We would like to, sorry.
Go ahead.
We would like to talk more about reference points, and in this way to show you some examples of what can go wrong and how we can fix it. Because really, there are so many layers, and there are so many layers to the layers here, right? So the coordination of ballroom dancing is very difficult, very complex, and many things can go wrong. So we really have to be very, very precise. At the same time, if you have any questions so far, please let us know. If something was not clear that we have just said, we really enjoyed the live because we can be in communication
Yeah, we can
with you guys.
communicate.
Yeah.
As we're gonna come up with some of the examples, you guys are welcome to maybe again put in the comments some of your examples where you've heard like you haven't done enough or you've done too much perhaps, and we will try to
Yes, please.
unfold it for you, find those reference points you can relate to and the layer you can think about to fix that issue.
You can comment anytime of those examples that you have from your personal experience, and we will be more than happy to address it. We have a lot of time. This is the evening for us, and we're supposed to rest, but we don't want to rest. We want to do live. So it will be very interesting to see your experience as well.
All right, let's get to those reference points that we've prepared for you as an examples. So, I'm going to touch a little bit on that subject that Natasha has written about already on rotation. Yeah, so this is the very, very popular body action that we have in standard. We cannot dance and cannot move around and across the floor without rotation. It is impossible to dance together and dance around each other without rotation. So how much is too much rotation? Or what does it mean when
what is
you are
enough
doing
rotation?
Too little? Yeah, how much is enough? So we're going to always have a reference point for rotation. And for those of you guys who might have followed our previous YouTube videos, we talk a lot about the main purpose of rotation, which is change of direction. So rotation serves us as the steering wheel, as I usually make an example like that when I teach. It is our steering wheel to change the direction in the room. So our directions that we have in our syllabus layer would be our guidelines and our reference points on how much we have to rotate our body. Another reference point for rotation can be inside our bodies, actually, for our own body as a reference point. Let's put it in this way. If we are going to rotate our head, we would have a reference point in our upper body, and our skull would be rotating in relation to our chest or our rib cages. If we were to rotate our rib cage, our pelvis, this is a great exercise while sitting down, our pelvis would be our reference point, that we're not going to rotate the whole body at the same time. As Yaroslav has said, we don't put everything in one salad. Yeah, we want to have a reference point in our pelvis, and we want to have the rotation in our rib cage. We can also use both at the same time. We can have our pelvis and our head standing still. We rotate the rib cage, or we can have our head and our rib cage rotating at the same time with one another in relation to our pelvis, and so on and so on. So we're going to have multiple reference points in our bodies internally in terms of mechanics.
If we talk about rotation, the problem of too much, too little in terms of rotation, I cannot agree more with Lilia that direction would be the thing to balance. Rotation, direction, right? So we can use syllabus as a reference point. Many steps that you are dancing, if you're doing open gold routines, many steps are not in the syllabus, or it's a fusion of a few syllabus figures into one open gold figure, right? So you have to be really, you have to be very much aware of rotation until you reach the correct direction for that step that makes sense, right? So I think this can be a syllabus layer problem. It can be a mechanical problem in a way that when I rotate, what is the range of rotation? Let's say for some reason, we don't care about directions. We only care about each other. Then we have to measure the range of how much, let's say, I am doing rotation in relation to my partner, and we're together rotating as a couple in relation to the movement that we're trying to produce. So we have an example for you. Hello from New York, from my mom. Hello. So we have an example for you guys from our personal practices, from our personal training, is that I remember once we were kind of fighting with each other, and then I said
What
to
do you
Lilia,
mean?
"How come you are doing so much rotation here? Don't you see I'm out of balance already?" Then Lilia says,
See,
"Well,
always doing too much.
yeah, she's always doing too much. I'm always doing not enough." And Lilia says, "Well, I'm doing my maximum. Don't you want me to do my maximum?" And well, while fighting, I realized that this is a very legit point. Of course, we want to perform to our maximum as a dancer. So why would I ask somebody to do less? Maybe I should do more. But when I'm doing more, I'm clearly falling off balance, which means that in a place where I'm like badly falling off balance, I don't want to fall off balance. So that made me think about that's not a good my feel for Lilia is not a good reference point because first of all that's my personal feel, my personal problem. She cannot feel what I feel, and even if she does, she would perceive it perhaps in a different way. So now I was thinking, all right, so what is the reference point that I can relate to and she can relate to? And that reference point I remember at that time was exactly direction. But we were relating to direction slightly different because let's say if we have to finish somewhere in the room and I'm outside edge of the turn and she's inside edge of the turn, that amount of rotation feels different to us. So one person probably on the outside edge of the turn would feel like the rotation is greater in the body, and the inside edge of the turn person will feel rotation is smaller in the body. The range is smaller, not as big as the outside edge. But we both have to agree. So at that time, let's say Lilia was on the inside edge doing as much rotation as me on the outside edge. So of course that created a conflict between our motion. So at that time, we both have to agree. Yes, let's say I'm talking for Lilia right now. Yes, I'm going to do less rotation, but for the couple, that will be just enough to finish whatever objective we have, to finish our motion as a couple, to change the direction as a couple. So there is a personal change of direction that is going on, but there is a couple change of direction that is going on too. And we really have to refer to it. So now we're moving from the problem of the mechanics layer, personal, to the dynamics layer when two partners are involved in it. And right now, um, I would like to read Emily's comment. We appreciate your comment, Emily. I remember Slavik Sahatsky used to use the acronym DRS, direction, rotation, sway. He emphasized this movement must occur in that order. Of course, it's only a split-second difference. Yes. Movement, rotation, sway, that's how we say it. This is like the ultimate sequence for any figure. Absolutely right. We are more talking about once you did the movement, you're on rotation before the sway. How much is too much of that particular rotation?
Ingredient, yes.
Yeah, but definitely this sequence that Slavik mentioned to Emily commented here, and whoever had lessons with me or Lilia, you guys know that movement, rotation, sway is something I'm never tired of talking about.
Yes.
Repeating. Yeah.
So the same goes for the movement. Let's say if we're going to use the sequence that Emily has just introduced us to, how much is too much movement? And how much is too little movement, right? So we can also relate to that.
Yeah.
And we can see that in terms of our movement of our trunk of the body, of course. Again, whoever knows us, we always talk about body flight. This is where our trunk is traveling across the floor. We do not call a step a movement. A step is the result of the movement in our body. So when we're moving our trunk across the floor, how much is too much is too little? So
Lilia, wait. Okay. I can see 20 people are watching and only 8 likes. So we are not going to proceed until we have at least 15.
Make sure.
At least 15, yes. That's just to show you guys we're not bloggers because those people 19 people watching. That's it, somebody already quit.
Your technique is not working.
No, clearly not. You see, my reference point is poor here. All right. Yeah.
So movement-wise, correct? As soon as we started to move our spine across the floor, and we're hopefully doing it in a great sequence, how much is too little movement? Let's start with too little, right? So we're gonna move too little if we're not approaching our maximum in terms of body flight. So whenever we travel across the floor, we want to feel like we are falling off balance, like we are moving our body so much away from our standing foot that we're literally feeling that we're going outside of balance, out of our balance, and we are traveling across our foot and across the floor. So here I would suggest try to exaggerate as much as you can and try to move your trunk across the floor, across your foot as much as you can, until we get to the point when it's too much. And what is too much here? What is the reference point?
How do we avoid it, I would say?
Yeah. Of course, we can now take a look at our reference points inside our body and relate to posture layer of Prism method. So as soon as we have started our body flight and we feel like, okay, this is my maximum, I'm doing my best, I'm traveling, and then we suddenly lose our posture. So what do we mean by losing posture? We're out of alignment, our bum is sticking out, our rib cage is far too forward. Those are all the red flags for us that, all right, this is probably something's going wrong. I'm trying to move my body, but it's not in one unit anymore. So I have to come back, maybe do a little bit less of the body flight, but make sure I stay aligned.
Yeah. Where would you say the movement begins? With the trunk, the base, or what part of the body?
Great
I would say
question,
that the ultimate answer here would be spine. So the whole spine must be moving at the same time. We cannot emphasize one part of the spine or another. So if we imagine it, I don't know, as a stick, the whole spine can move. Now spine can be poised, and now it's going to move in that poise, but the whole spine is supposed to move.
Exactly.
Coming back to what Lilia was talking about right now, another part is what is the reference point for the movement? Let's say we take something like walls, right? There are certain figures that, in walls, we know that there is rise and fall, pendulum swing chords, metronomic swing chords that we are producing. There are certain figures and certain parts, certain steps inside the figure that is going, for example, from up to down. There is a certain level up and certain level down that we're supposed to hit. That cannot be danced with a lot of movement and a lot of progressive movement. There are certain steps that can be danced. I personally have a step that I tend to do actually wrong in terms of movement. My problem is I move too much, just in general. I'm a good mover across the floor. Progressive movement, that's something I enjoy doing, and I think I'm doing, and I'm doing too much sometimes. Preparation step, right? So preparation step, even according to, let's say, some old school knowledge about ballroom dancing, that's not a figure, that's just a walk and literally a preparation to the movement, preparation to start the routine. So for example, if we are doing preparation step, we're going sideways, and let's say forward for the guys or backward for the girls. When I'm moving forward or backwards in the preparation step, that step is supposed to be always very small, because I start up and I kind of finish up on that step. So there is not so much rise and fall going on. Now, the tendency that I struggle with, especially during competition, I want to compete and do my best and do a lot, which sometimes is too much, is that I'm forcing that last step of preparation step, and I'm doing it too big. But my reference point is clear. It's just sometimes I'm too much in the zone, and I'm going for too much of a movement.
You have the performance
anxiety. Yeah, performance overwhelming. Yeah, so the last step of preparation step, small step, that allows us to move our body narrow base and big movement of the body flight on top. So now we can really produce the movement with the body, and the legs can assist our body in motion. So in here, then you're going to the first step of the natural turn. For sure, that step we are already lowering, and we are about to lower even more. So this is where I would say go for as much as you can. Make sure, like Lilia said, the posture is good, and then this will be the biggest step. Then number 2 step of the natural turn, that's a pretty big step too. We are going up. Number 3 step, when we are closing our feet, I would say that the movement, even though the body flight still carries on to whatever the next step is, but progressive movement as such is so much smaller than number 2 step or number 1 step. So if you want to fall in the natural turn, then do as much movement on the 3rd step as on the 1st step. And of course, this is a recipe to fall 10 out of 10, right? So I'm not moving so much on the last step of preparation step. I'm moving a lot on the 1st step of natural turn. I'm moving almost as much on the 2nd step of the natural turn,
Quite a lot,
and almost nothing on the 3rd step. When we say movement, we mean the yellow part of my body. We mean
the spine, the trunk,
the spine, yeah, the body trunk.
everything but the limbs. Yeah. Yes, we're actually we're kind of talking a lot about mechanics right now, and it is a very exciting subject for us because we are now recording our mechanics layer of Prism method, which is coming very soon. Our new course on mechanics. So
50% is done.
We are very fresh in all the mechanical subjects today. Yeah.
And body flight, of course, one of the first
lessons. We are preparing for you. So talking about reference points.
Sorry, guys.
Talking about reference points in our movement as well, we can talk about dynamics layer. And on dynamics layer, we will, of course, relate to each other. And now the person who's traveling backwards will be always very sensitive to the amount of movement. And I would say also to the timing. So this is what we're going to relate to each other, the movement of whoever's going back, whoever's going forward. So this is a very interesting subject as well. How much is too much movement, so I'm peeling off my partner? How much is too little movement when I'm starting to block my partner and I'm suddenly heavy to move and to push through them? Yeah.
And even though it related to movement, very often it is an issue of timing.
Yeah. Yes. So we can take a look at it in terms of our syllabus, even coming back to the rhythm when we do initiate the movement. And we can talk about it, of course, in a dynamics layer, talking about relation to our partner. So
do you guys have any questions so far? Please let us know. We will be more than happy to answer them. I'm sure some problems that we have just spoken about you have witnessed during your practice sessions or lessons or competitions.
Lilia, I just found about you a week ago. Basically, my teacher said, if you want to follow someone really great, follow Lilia. My gosh, thank you so much. This is really touching. Thank you for your comment.
I would really follow Lilia too. You guys have great taste.
You have to follow me more.
Yes, thank you.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Really, really appreciate. We try to organize our knowledge and our teaching and really share as much with you guys as possible.
Yeah.
So if you have any particular examples, and I would start with my examples right now, please go ahead, comment them, because it is very, very exciting and interesting subject for us. And again, we can talk about mechanics only for hours, but we want to keep it as structured and go through as many layers as possible.
We can move on to other examples,
yes,
right?
Let's see the sway. So as Emily has mentioned, movement, rotation, and sway. And sway is another big body action that we have in standard, and probably one of the most, I wouldn't say questionable, but sort of contradictive. Sway is what many people are arguing on. And many people say, oh, this is too much sway. Oh, this is not enough sway. So how much is too much sway, and what is enough of sway?
How do you avoid feeling stuck in a shape and have it feel like it continues to grow, all right? And does the person going back determine the amount of the movement? Oh my God.
Beautiful questions.
Two great questions.
Beautiful questions.
I would like to answer.
Let's start with Emily's. I'm sorry, Laura, because yours is more related to the later subject when we talk about sway. Let's start with Emily's. Yeah, because it's regarding the movement, which comes first in our sequence.
Actually, there is a very clear fix to the issue that Emily is talking about. Does the person going backwards or not? So we can have three types, we call it between each other, like three types of connection, right? In terms of how we connect and how we move with that connection. So the first type would be if we are both 50-50, let's say, I mean, this is very rough explanation, but we both, let's say 50-50 give certain amount of pressure, not a lot, to each other. And then with that amount of pressure, we move wherever we want to move. Now, what is the advantages here? We are really connected. Disadvantages, we're not moving as freely as we could. because we're moving somewhere, but a part of ourselves, of our body weight and of our projection of weight is towards each other, right?
Honestly, we don't prefer that kind of
Yes,
connection.
I would say I really do not use this type of connection with anyone at all, whoever I'm dancing. But sometimes, in very, very extreme situations, this can be useful, and we must not forget about it. All right. So it's not wrong. It just depends on whether it's relevant for the usage or not. Number two. So number two, a person who is going forward is responsible for connection, and a person who's going forward will be moving, and the person going backwards will be responsible for that connection.
Let's say I'm going to move backwards.
Yeah. So if she's moving backwards and I am moving forward, I am going to produce my movement. She will be monitoring me and making sure she's staying with me. Now, she will be moving forward, and I'm just monitoring her. And in this way, so if I'm doing a bad job, she will be moving forward, but that's it. That was the bump, and I just peeled off. Yeah. So I'm really monitoring her. She moves forward. Yeah. Now, the third type of connection, every time we talk about it, people have eyes,
open, wide
open, and they're shocked. Sometimes.
This one is a bit scary.
A bit scary,
I would say this is the most advanced.
That's the great one, yeah. A person who's going backwards does whatever she wants to do, but the person who is going forward is responsible for the connection. So now I'm extra aware when she's going backwards.
I'm really taking my palm back.
Yeah, so she's really taking her. Just
so
take it.
Really slow down.
Yeah, take it and I will not follow. Oh, that's it. So that's the bump, right? So now take it more. Yeah. So I'm late right now. Now, if she's taking it, I'm monitoring her. I'm trying to stay with her. Now, I will be taken back. She's monitoring me. Oh, there was a little bump too, and faster. Yeah. So imagine you are doing one of the best examples for the third type of connection, bounce fall away. Move backwards a lot. Whoever is moving backwards, which will be ladies' part, right? Move backwards a lot. Let the partner, this is just my advice if you want. Let the partner be responsible for connection, but reference point, timing. If you are moving with a great timing, then you can blame your partner who is moving forward and saying like, hey, something doesn't work because of you. We are not encouraging students to blame teachers, but just talking about situation, right?
Yeah. So answering Emily's question, the more advanced you are, the more the person who's traveling back will determine the amount of movement.
Yeah. It's all individual, of course. We are not saying, again, that one type of connection is better than the other. Three of them, they're very different, and I think they have to complement each other. But there are many steps where person going backwards should really go for it, and person going forward should monitor, actually. Some steps, person going forward is really going for it, and person going backwards monitoring. And I would say the least amount of steps where we're really stuck on each other and trying to make it together.
Now, let's get to this other question. Laura has asked us, how do you avoid feeling stuck in a shape and have it feel like it continues to grow? And we're going to get into our sequence that we are talking about and gradually going to talk more about sway to answer this question. So we usually feel stuck whenever our body or our trunk, our spine stops the movement. So when we dance, what we want to feel is that our trunk is constantly in motion in space. It is either traveling or rotating or swaying or a little bit of everything at the same time. We want to feel like we are engaging in all these three actions simultaneously quite often. So we do feel stuck when either one of those actions, or perhaps two or even three actions, they stop in our body. So when we freeze, when our spine is not engaged in either body flight, rotation, or sway, this is exactly when we feel stuck. We also feel stuck very often in the end of the figure when we try to shape. And what is shape? I would actually put this one in shape, yeah, because whenever we hear shape, and I actually taught this exact lesson today to one of my students, whenever we hear shape, our first intention is to literally push up away from our partner, push off each other. So this is shape, this is our big extension, big push away, distance between the heads, and there we go, feeling stuck. Now, Yaroslav and
That
I
creates a lot of tension, muscular tension in our body, and that's why we call it stuck feeling.
Yeah, and Yaroslav and I are all for huge shape, and we try to achieve as much distance between our heads and as much so-called shape as possible without feeling stuck, without ever stopping our body's movement in space. So, in order for us not to feel stuck in the end of the shape, we must feel that we are rotating, and very often we're swaying somewhere in the end of the bar. If we talk about waltz, let's take waltz today as an example. If we're taking our natural turn, and in the end of a natural turn, we push away from the partner, there you go, that's you're feeling stuck. Or if you're moving back, you're rotating and you're swaying towards the end of the natural turn, and you're going to find yourself in a huge sway to the left for the ladies, to the right for the men, in order to balance the figure. This is when you are redirecting your energy, you're redirecting your movement in space, and you are reinitiating it into the next, or recycling it, let's call it this way, into the next bar and the next down part.
Another little hint that I learned from my wife, my partner in crime, she would always tell me, well, you're doing something strange. And then I said, why would you say that? And then she says, can you name me the action that you're doing? And if I cannot name the exact action, that means I'm doing something strange, literally, right? So we only have few actions that we can operate with, which is rotation, sway. Sometimes, yeah, body flight can turn into little shift or something like that, but mainly rotation and sway, or maybe rise and fall. Sometimes I would say,
of course,
we
yes.
can treat it this way.
This is legit.
Rotation, sway, rise, fall. If you're doing something that is not falling into any of these categories, then you're doing something strange.
For example, shape is one of those.
Yeah, so shape is not a body action. There is no such a body action. We already have shape as our bodies. I have my shape.
3D.
Lilia has her shape. We cannot make a shape. It's already made. So we can make something with that shape, rotation or sway, body flight. But that's pretty much it. So Laura, we hope we
answered your question.
We answered your question, yeah. But feeling stuck, of course, too much muscular tension, not a good feel at all. Something you have to address. And another thing, not to be stuck, can be a shape, but can also be problem with the shape because you are not redirecting your movement on time from one figure to another figure. And again, we're going a little bit sideways here. Sometimes people say, well, you're back-weighted, whatever that means. Back-weighted can be posture problem, but also can be a problem because there is no redirection, the timing issue, right? I'm moving backwards, I have to redirect on time somewhere else, sideways or forward. I'm not doing it. So when I need to go forward, I'm still moving backwards because I haven't redirected. And by redirecting, I mean body in space, my body trunk in the space available for me. All right.
That's right. We hope that answers the questions. And
I'm still waiting for my 15 likes. Only.
Oh no.
Yeah. All right. So this is to answer those questions. Now, let's talk more about reference points. Again, we're using the formula reference point, layer, and what is the solution? What is the rule? How do we fix it? Of course, the rule is always dense technique. The layer is always Prism method, our methodology. And the reference point is the knowledge that we are sharing with you right now. I would say it's a dense technique too, but it's just something not written in the book. Maybe you should write the book.
I always say the reference point has to be tangible. So reference point is either in your body, it's either in the room, there is a direction. It's either in your partner, let's say in their body or wherever they are in relation to you, as in terms of position or just relation, and as well the reference point in time. This is also very tangible, something we both hear if we can hear the music and we can hear the beat. So the reference point has to be very tangible, okay? And name it the same way. Yes, if it's rotation, it's rotation. There is no such thing as a little bit of opening or shifting or a little bit of this, a little bit of that. If you ever have the discussion with your partner, with your teacher, and you use the words this and that, and a little
Then
bit more, a
Lilia
little
will
bit
be
less.
coming. Lilia will be coming for you next.
This is not precise. Yes.
Yeah.
So what we're trying to achieve here is clarity. We want the clarity, we want the precision, we want to be as efficient as possible whenever we practice. We want to achieve things, and we want to get it the most efficient way as possible.
Let's talk about tone. So sometimes we have a problem:
Muscular
more tone, less
tension.
tone. Yeah, the body tone, body muscular tension can occur in any part of the body. But the problem with the tone and muscular tension is that we call it it's contagious. So if there is one part of the body has too much muscular tone, it spreads like a virus, and then everything becomes, too stiff. Let's say too much muscular tone. Same can go the other way around, and you relax one part too much. We will talk about what is too much or too little. You relax too much, which is too little, right? Too little
Too
muscular
little tone.
and then just everything, everything falls apart. This is not a great feeling at all. Oh, let me see.
All right.
Some dancers feel rigid, some feel soft in terms of frame. Where is the line between them?
Perfect question. I was just about to address the tone in terms of our frame, in terms of our arms, our frame. Yes.
So we will talk
Thanks for
the
your
tone
question.
frame and also tone motion, because
Yes.
this is they are
Different
related in a way, but two different layers.
layers.
So
Let's
tone
start
frame,
with the frame, which is going to be our posture layer.
Posture layer.
How much tension do we need to hold each other's hand, and how much tension do we need to hold our arms up? So we have very clear reference points. Let's say I would hold this glass of water that I've prepared for myself for this live. So how much, I was actually about to use it. So how much tone do I need to actually grab it and pick it up? So I always use this example. So I always need my fingers. My fingertips is one of the most useful parts of my body, of our bodies. Also the most sensitive. A lot of neurons here, a lot of sensitive points in our fingertips. And we also can grab things because we have thumbs in comparison to our other let's say animals. They cannot grab things. So this is very, very useful part of our body. So what we're going to do, we're going to first of all take a partner's hand here, right? Or I'm going to relate to this glass. So what I need to do, I need to actually hold, and I need to actually pinch the object.
We understand.
Yes. So this is what I'm going to do with how much tension I'm going to have when I touch my partner. Is it just enough if I use your hand so we can actually hold? Either I hold his hand up or he's going to hold my hand up.
Actually, in a way, there is no need to hold each other. There is certain action in terms of doing the fingers,
grip, creating
the grip, which is, but then I'm not holding Lilia, really. She's not holding me. We both agree to the level, and that's it, right? So one of the good answers can be as much as needed, as little as possible for the frame.
Exactly.
The reason for as little as possible is that frame is supposed to be around the floor and shifted pretty pretty big around the floor. We're going for progressive movement when we're dancing, right? That's one of the main characteristics of international standard style. So you don't want to carry too much, I will say, weight right now, but I would say you don't want to carry too much muscular tension. It shouldn't feel heavy to you. If I have too much muscular tension and I'm just walking on the street, not even dancing, I feel right away heavy, fatigue. That's not sustainable. I cannot do it for a long time. Imagine you are doing many rounds in a big competition, or we just came back from Blackpool Dance Festival. Impossible to dance on such a big floor with so much muscular tension over the limit.
The amount of rounds, yes. So how much muscular tension, how do we determine? I'm going to just come back to my glass here. So if I evaluate the weight of the glass, and I've already created my grip with my fingertips, right? So I evaluate that this glass perhaps weighs this much.
1 pound.
one less probably.
Half pound.
Let's say half pound, right? So if I'm going to lift it, I already expect a certain muscular tension, and I don't even have to be cautious about it, because we are all experienced human beings and our minds are experienced. We kind of evaluate the weight of it, and our mind does it automatically for us. So what happens in our brains, it sends us the signal to our muscles, and our muscles, they're going to contract as much as needed for us to lift the certain weight of the glass. The same goes to the frame. So we don't have any extra weight such as glass when we are holding our arms up, but our minds send us the signal that we have to hold our frame up as much as we need for the arm to stay up without dropping down, is as much as we resist the gravity. So if you imagine the gravity would be pressing down on you, what you're going to have to
Pulling
do,
down.
pulling down, pulling down actually, what you want to do, you want to go up against the gravity, and you want to create as much as the pull of the gravity. So this is an interesting concept that really got me saved me a lot of energy, let's say. As soon as I realized, okay, this is the gravity, or let's say it's pulling, and this is exactly the same amount that I need to engage in my muscular tension or my muscular tone, let's say, in order to resist the gravity. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And same goes for the body tone, because if we surrender to the gravity, and if I surrender to the gravity, I have very funny posture. Yaroslav knows I'm going to look about like that. So this is my very comfortable position. Like if I want to resist the gravity, I have to create a certain muscular tone in order for me to look like a dancer and to stay upright or to dance upright. So this is something that I want you to start thinking about, it is the gravity, how much it influences us and how much of a muscular tone we need to, in order to avoid that gravity influence.
If you are normal, healthy human being with okay posture, shouldn't be hard to hold the arms. Let's say, because we're talking about the frame, right? Yeah.
Yes.
So it should not be hard. If you feel there is a problem with that, I would say just don't laugh. Try our posture course, because we've done a lot of research, and angles really do matter. Angles of, pronation, supination, internal, external rotation
our
of
forearms,
the upper
our
arms.
arms.
Yes. So those are all the main reference point for the posture, and that's
how
something
do we connect our frame to our chest as well.
Yeah, we teach a lot. Of course, during the private lesson, this is really a fast track to the posture, because there are many things we are sharing with our students that can be helpful. But if you really need very detailed information, we all have it in our course, and I believe we've done some lives on posture as well, which are free, because course is not free, but lives are free, and you can definitely maybe rewatch some of the lives. I'm sure we're talking about the tone, and even if we don't, if you follow those steps, you really reduce the tone, you feel less fatigue, and at the same time you can do the movement and performance.
Right, we're going to have some comments.
Questions.
Yes, so Emily said what one person calls a 5 in tone, another might say it is a 3 or 7. So as you already said, the partners must agree on what is what, the number of tones.
Total sense.
Totally. And Emily also said, occasionally I walk in the neighborhood holding my arms parallel to the ground, or walk on the elliptical with my arms in frame. Very nice.
All right.
whatever helps. I would like to answer Iris's question. Lilia, what am I doing wrong if my neck hurts or aches from
stay left?
Trying to stay left? I struggle with my neck muscle tone and strain. Okay, that is a great question. And Yaroslav is willing to answer that probably.
Okay, Iris, I'm not Lilia, but Lilia is right here.
Totally agree on whatever he says.
Yeah. We don't stay left.
Actually, this is what Yaroslav taught me.
Yeah,
so let him answer that one.
Yeah, so we don't stay left. It's a very common misunderstanding, misconception of technique. And of course, staying left feels unnatural for the body, because the brain instruction, I'm sure at that time when you're telling yourself stay left, is very strong. Body would not follow this brain instruction. It will follow, but it will hurt. And this is exactly what's going on. Based on the closed hold that we have with each other. So when we stay, we're staying in front of each other. And if anything, our partner is slightly offset to the right. So I feel my partner on the right, my partner feels me a little bit on the right. So again, this is a posture problem, and you feel it more or worse, I should say, in the movement. But we are not staying left, we're staying where we're staying, and only our head is turned to the left. Our poise that we are creating, that is balanced forward and backwards, but we're not trying to go left or right. If we are going left or right in this way, we are doing a sway, and we do not need a sway for posture. We might need a sway
in the movement.
Yeah, in the movement, rotation, sway. So this is where we're doing the sway. We're not doing sway for posture. That's exactly why we feel that even for us, let's forget other people, our methodology is very helpful because you can really identify which layer you're working on and, of course, avoid those mistakes.
Yeah, and avoid the arguments.
Avoid the arguments.
Really, yes, Iris, I would suggest don't try to sway to the left, don't try to stay to the left. Your head rotation to the left is just enough, and it literally creates the effect from the outside like you would stay to the left. And actually, staying to the left goes against moving. So staying is something very static, and of course your body rejects doing that, especially if you're in the middle of reverse figure where you're swaying to the right. So how would you stay left and sway right at the same time, or move right? So that
very contradictive. It's a conflict, right? Even theoretically, as we speak about it.
So really try to be more balanced with your head weight over your left foot. There is just enough left, and then go ahead and explore how much you can add sway in the movement, either left or right, and that will do it. So our head will only rotate to the left. Don't try to reach left. Is there a trick or advice for turning head to the left? Really the isolation, I would say. So trying to
isolate a skull from rib cage or from clavicle bones here, collarbones, and rotate it left and right.
And of course, don't tilt the skull backwards, because like once it's in a bad alignment, you're going to have a limited range. So of course, the chin tuck, the alignment of the head, allows you more range.
Remember, guys, when you make those significant changes, especially for the posture, it will always feel odd at first and very unusual. But you need to feel unusual to understand that the reference points are changing. If you are not feeling unusual and strange, then there is no change. I keep going back to the studio feeling how I feel for number of time, and I think I'm changing, then I'm probably lying to myself. So a change feels different, very often feels uncomfortable, and we are dealing with we're unfortunately, because really almost no one of us learned correct way right away.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So we are, constantly experience this change. It's painful, it's uncomfortable until we talk ourselves into the change.
Until we really coordinate ourselves. I'd say once your mechanics is relatively good, and there's not much in mechanics, it's quite tangible, right? There's nothing, no high science. So once you've coordinated, I think you are past the period of uncomfortable. So I say mechanics is the hardest thing in terms of feeling odd and feeling weird when you change things.
I will answer Emily's question. Yeah.
Yes, let's do it.
So doesn't the head only turn on top of the spine, meaning it does not turn independently? It only turns as a response to the movement of the hip. So let me start with the
movement of the hip.
Movement of the hip. I have never heard this in my life. So I honestly don't even know how it works. And knowing biomechanics, normally our body responds from up to down. This is some crazy ballroom dancers from 100 years ago who thinks that it goes from down to up. You can agree or disagree with me, but that's just science, anatomy, biomechanics, kinesiology, and other things. It works well for every other activity, every other sport. So I don't see any reason why I shouldn't be working for dancing.
This is what we do in our usual life.
Yes.
We rotate our head, we rotate our bodies, we rotate our
hip, let's say,
and
pelvis
foot
at the end. Yeah.
later on.
So the great key to freedom is to start from up and go down, to do rotation, like what Lilia just.
One of the most flexible joints that has the biggest range of rotation is the joints in our
C1
neck.
vertebra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So that's in terms of the hip head relationship. So hip absolutely must be disabled, and head should be absolutely enabled and engaged. But again, proportion really matters. Like we have to see the certain figures where head goes more or less. Then
what is a good trick to remember to stay joined at the hip, especially with quick step? What would you mean by staying joined?
I think connection.
Connection with the
and
partner.
I think the quick answer that I can give here right away would be poise. So if we are losing the poise towards each other, then of course there can be a connection problem. But this should be addressed probably more deep.
Hello from Arizona. Hello, Violet.
Hello.
Nice to see you. It's actually a great question that Violet is asking. How much is too much or too little? Is the pigeon toe is in tango because it feels unnatural? How much is enough?
Pigeon toe.
Yes, there's a rotation, inward rotation in our femur in the leg, right? That points the foot inwards.
Direction, right?
Yes, I would say the reference point, the great reference point is direction. We also have an isolation in the hip joint, but it feels unnatural if we're trying to over rotate. So if you're trying to rotate your femur, your femur inside the socket of your hip joint way too much, past the point that the joint is actually able to internally rotate, that is what's going to cause unnatural and uncomfortable feelings. So we'll encourage Violet to research the degree of how much that hip joint can rotate internally, and see that, and also try to, as much as you're going to try to isolate, try to also feel that your pelvis is following the rotation. So as soon as you've created that pigeon toe, that your pelvis and the rest of the body will align with that right away as you change the weight on top of that foot.
Mm-hmm.
So try not to isolate. Don't isolate and break the joint too much, I would say. Yeah.
If one more department of too much too little that we would like to talk about today would be, let's say that we know all the actions, we know all the moves, all the tricks, we know dynamic, we know personalization, everything. As we are moving, and this is also related to the tone. So tone is very much related to the motion as well. I think we stopped tone and frame, but let me just finish quickly tone, motion, and go to the last one. So tone and motion. Too much tone would be when you have so much muscular tension that your muscles are contracting to hold your body at a point that they're busy holding your body. They cannot be engaged in the movement.
That's what we call static tension.
Yeah, that's
static contraction.
This is the worst.
Static contraction.
So the way our muscles are working, they only have one function: to contract. If they're not contracting, then they're relaxing or stretching, if you can call it this way. So the muscle, while contracting, the muscle itself does not understand whether it's contracting for sway or for rotation or for static tension that Lily is referring to. So if muscle is busy contracting for static tension, it's already busy to do this same stuff for rotation. So the lavatory is occupied on the airplane, that's it. And the occupancy, we don't know what's inside. So inside can be a contraction for tension, a static tension.
If I can make an example, quick example, right? So I'm going to show off my muscles. So because I always do that example with my students. So I can just create a tension on the spot and just try to engage my biceps for
nothing,
for show off purposes, or I can contract my biceps to bring my forearm in.
Yeah, so
and
now
that will feel
there
very
is a
differently.
movement.
If you can try to do that, and try to just contract on the spot just to show off the muscle, or you bring your forearm in, which will cause the same contraction in the biceps and opposite a feeling of elongation on the other side in the tricep. So this is what we mean by tone. And if you actually try to do that, the static would always feel almost a waste of energy and will always feel sort of too much or too strong.
Well, I would say try static, and then after static, immediately try moving it. And this is how strange and how bad it feels.
Yeah, versus trying to engage into the motion, into the movement, the muscle automatically contracts because your brain sends you this instruction for the muscle to bring the forearm in. And this is just enough tone that you need in terms of motion, in terms of movement.
So reference point is the movement. Coming to the last part of our life. Let's say we know everything, right? And we are dancing our routine, and we feel that something is wrong with our motion in terms of what is our strategy in the bounce fall away. Do we put more effort into motion on the first part and then less on the second part, or do we put less on the first part, more on the second part? I'm talking about movement, and we touched the subject today. I'm talking about rotation, how much of intensity we put in that rotation, right? So what is the volume of that rotation? And we assume that the directions are good. So sometimes we can have the structure of routine that is off for two reasons. One reason is actually a funny reason, and then another reason is more legit. So the funny reason is that routine is bad, and whoever done the routine has no taste. So put it in a strange way, strange combinations. Maybe accidentally it used to be old routine, some parts has changed, and now it looks strange. So that is one thing to deal with, and the solution, the way to fix it, check the routine, get rid of it, make a new part. Coming to the serious part of it, right? So structure of the routine. If I choose to dance with a certain musicality, a certain piece of my routine, again, we both have to agree on that musicality, number one. Number two, we have to make a strategy that for that musicality, this is our choice with the full awareness. I'm doing less of everything in the beginning, but more on the second part of the whatever given piece. So at that time, we do not need to feel bad about doing less, because normally we blame ourselves when we're doing less, right? So don't blame yourself for doing less. Remember, this is the plan. You have to be fully aware of that plan and execute the plan. This is in terms of, I would say, musicality or personalization layer. Yeah. I want to turn with the less energy in the beginning of stand-in spin, because then I would like to develop the stand-in spin and turn more. If I turn right away 100% stand-in spin and I turn it for 4 bars, I would say I'm in trouble, because either I start with number 10 out of 10, I have to go to 15 out of 10, then for sure something bad might happen, like crooked posture, out of balance. No.
Then we'd say you do too much.
Then you'd say you do too much, yeah. So you have to be fully aware of the plan, and that clear intention must be there before you even move. This is, of course, perfect case scenario, but at least we would like to encourage you guys to think, maybe more higher level.
Yeah.
Can be something on dynamics layer as well, right? So where you're pulling back a little bit with your dynamics, but to catch for the second part of the figure. Or maybe you encourage, can be very opposite. You encourage with the first part of the figure very dynamically, and then you are stopping and maybe delaying your motion. But again, this comes from your intention. Before the intention must be here before you even start your figure.
And of course, I would again come back to the statement that Yaroslav has made, that we must know all the actions to be able to play with that intention, to be able to play with the amount of tone, and to play with the musicality. Of course, we encourage you to look at dancing beyond mechanics, but we have to have mechanics, and we have to have posture, syllabus, all those layers in order to be able to express ourselves and go ahead and jump into the personalization layer, musicality layer, and be able to express ourselves.
This last part that we have just mentioned, remember how we've been doing our other lives, and we said that on the dynamics layer, we bend the rules that we have on the syllabus and mechanics layer. On the musicality layer, we bend the rules. On the performance layer, we bend the rules. So this is where we bend the rules, but we have to be fully aware of it. Because of course, sometimes we bend the rules on
Without
some
knowing them.
low level, yeah, not knowing, not low layer. I'm sorry, not level. Without knowing it, and that looks strange. We might be lucky and look good while doing it, but let's be honest, if we are not fully aware, we don't have enough knowledge, we bend the rule, we might look very silly, or we might make a lot of mistakes as well. Do you guys have any questions so far? We're about to wrap up, but we still would like to maybe answer a few questions before we finish.
Would like to hear from you, any feedback
What
as
do you
well.
think about our live? I'm still waiting for the likes. It's only 11 likes and more people than 11.
Guys, for Yaroslav, please go ahead and hit that like button. He's going to be very happy.
Yeah, you will make my day. So if you guys have any questions, what do you think about our live today? Was it clear or not clear? Do you think we actually were talking on the subject that we offered you? Maybe we're talking something strange, and we just pretend like, you know, we're very seriously talking about the subject, but we're doing a poor job. I don't know.
When are your Zoom classes? We actually do some Zoom classes, but just private. We don't do any group classes yet, but we do have our online courses, which are available on our website, yaroslavlilia.com, that are more of a theoretical and with practical examples, of course, but more theoretical.
If anyone
classes.
wants online Zoom lessons, private lessons, you can just email us and we can set up.
Yes, we do actually some private lessons via Zoom, and I should say I really enjoy them. I wouldn't think it.
Yes, recently a few people contacted us for online lessons, even though we're not on the lockdown, which was interesting.
Yeah, it's definitely helpful.
When is the book coming out? That's a good question. Probably later.
Know, Laura, this is one of my childhood dreams. I'd say.
To do a book?
Yes.
On dance
I was
technique.
A nerd. I was such a nerd when I was a kid, and I would always dream about writing a book. So maybe one day. We start with Prism method and all the digital courses first.
Yes. We have to have video content first, and then maybe
we'll put it in the book.
Then maybe the book. All right. Looks
Thank
like
you
people
guys.
say
Thank
it's
you
very
so much.
clear. Thank you for your feedback. We really appreciate it. Nice to hear your thoughts and explanations on your
Iris.
approach. Thank you, Iris. We are just trying to be reasonable, use the science, because we have education in dancing, and a lot of things that our dancers are struggling with, they're supposed not to struggle, because all those simple rules of mechanics, biomechanics, they are already written a long time ago and tried successfully in different sports and activities. So we should not be worried.
Deborah says, brought a lot of thoughts, provoking topics, which is how learning occurs by questioning first. Thank you. Very helpful. Thank you. Actually, we try to be a little bit provocative because, again, we believe that in
I don't think we're
dancing,
trying already this way. Yeah.
We are provocative. I guess we are. We try to rely on the knowledge and on our research and science, as Yaroslav is saying, in at least in anatomy in human's body, right? Because it is very important. Some of the cliches that we have in ballroom dancing, unfortunately, do go against anatomy, which is sad.
And logic.
Yes, which is sad because it's harmful for our bodies. So we try to stay as healthy, as logical in terms of how the bodies work. And this might sound provocative because there are many cliches in ballroom dancing throughout the years, and there are many cliches in ballroom dancing.
I hope Emily is fine because I answered her question and then she stopped writing. I didn't mean to hurt anyone in terms of the head and other things. Yeah, but unfortunately, because dancing has developed so much, especially recently, and it's kind of, it's not very contemporary, I would say, sport or art, whatever you call it. Yeah, so people developed technique that was good probably for 100 years ago, 70, 60 years ago, but then many things have changed. The speed, the dynamics of it changed.
Also, the
But
information
sometimes,
became more available to
yeah,
mass of people.
sometimes we're kind of stuck with this old information, and in the modern world with old technology, I mean, you can tell that something is off.
Would you like to answer Iris's question?
Question: of the great legends and champions in ballroom, can I ask who are your coaches? Please do it again. Very informative. All right. So, out of all great legends and champions of ballroom, I will not promote anybody except me or my wife, with all the respect. I think a lot of people influenced our career. Maybe we can do
Definitely.
like a separate lecture on that. And we were very lucky to be introduced to really best of the best, and really from a young age. I think many good dancers out there, not many good teachers, unfortunately. Some information we took from some people. Some people were very persuasive and they made sure we do it, and we're very grateful for it. But
We've learned
we
from
just
many
feel,
people. It's impossible probably to even list all of them in.
I think it's possible.
But I would afraid to forget somebody as
yeah,
well.
yeah. But
So,
really, really, we admire dancing of some people from the past. But having said that, our honest opinion is that ballroom dancing again developed so much that you might take some champion from the past and put it in today's Emerald Ball, and that champion from the past might not make the final. This is just the reality.
And
So
it's supposed to be like that,
it's
right?
supposed to be like that,
likely
and
developing
it is like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we really appreciate people of these days that are competing, and some of our competitors. I think great dancers and teachers as well. So we are just staying in the moment right now.
Do you want to go to Dancing with the Stars, Yaroslav? He actually had that thought over quarantine, you know?
I had this thought. Yeah. I think I don't know. Yeah, I think it's very interesting experience. It just depends on how much they pay, really. Yeah. So if
I think
they,
it's actually quite a tough schedule that they have. I would be very scared to do anything Latin.
oh yeah, Latin and show. I
I
think
think Dancing with the Stars, you
in
have to
terms
be
of the
very.
show experience, very cool. In terms of the dancing itself, I just don't know how much freedom those actual, like the performance have over the process. If they really teach the student or not, or maybe they have some crazy, producer running around telling them what to do.
7K a week,
oh,
Yaroslav. You have the number.
7K a week.
Not bad.
7K a week, maybe I can do it. Yeah.
By provocative, I mean that you have sparked my curiosity again. This is a good thing. It is a great thing. Stay
Deborah,
curious.
Thank you very much. Curiosity, I think if we lose curiosity, we're almost done in life. So if we can spark curiosity,
we have to. Yeah, we have to.
One person, we are
Stay
already
curious.
very happy, very pleased with that. Thank you for your comment. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So Dancing with the Stars, yeah.
We'll think about it.
Maybe there are no offers anyway. So what are we even talking about it?
Wait for the offer.
I think I have a terrible pronunciation. They will not let me in. When I dance, probably I'm fine, but then I start speaking on camera, not so good. Not Dancing with the Stars level yet.
All right.
Guys, thank you very much. We really had a good time doing this lecture. We will do another lecture soon. It will be same format on YouTube. You will really help us a lot by sharing it somewhere on Facebook or maybe with your friends.
Among your dance
text
friends.
the link. Yeah. It will be on our website, yaroslavlilia.com, in Virtual Dance Studio, and pre-recorded. And we are going to save it on our YouTube channel as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you again for
Bye-bye.
joining us. Have a great night.